Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. I am incredibly excited to guide you through today's topic because we're taking a really rigorous, evidence-based look at the future map of the world. Now, when you or I look at a globe today, it's so easy to just assume that those brightly colored shapes representing our countries are locked in place forever, right? But today, we're going to explore how political, economic, technological, demographic, and even environmental changes are literally going to radically reshape our global map over the course of the 21st century. So grab a seat and get ready, because the way we see the world is absolutely about to change. Okay, let's dive into this by looking backward for just a second to completely shatter this illusion of permanence. I mean, think about it. If you were standing in the Roman Empire back in 27 BC, or looking at the sprawling colonial borders in 1914, or even tracing the boundaries of the Soviet Union or Yugoslavia in the 20th century, you would have sworn those maps were permanent. But history proves over and over that no map is ever permanent. Empires rise, countries literally disappear, and borders shift. Massive change isn't the exception, it's the historical norm. Which brings us to the ultimate question for our explainer today. If today's world map isn't permanent, what exactly might tomorrow's look like? Well, here is the most fascinating part. The answer is already beginning to unfold all around us right now, and it's happening without a single traditional war being fought. The map of the future is being shaped by forces that are way more complex than just military conquest. Let's start with Section 1, Centers of Global Power. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that to understand the future map, we first have to completely dismantle the outdated idea that physical borders are the only way to measure a nation's power. Geopolitical influence is super fluid, and the center of gravity on our planet is actively migrating. Using verified data and projections from major institutions like the UN and the World Bank, we can clearly see economic and demographic influence moving decisively away from traditional Western centers. To put that into perspective, we are looking at a 40% share of the shifting influence landing right in the Indo-Pacific. Then you've got surging economic and demographic momentum claiming 25% in Africa. Rapid technological and manufacturing expansion is driving 20% in India and Southeast Asia, and immense investment power is making up 15% in the Gulf nations. You see, influence and economic gravity can completely relocate without a single border changing on a piece of paper. So if the biggest shifts in global influence are happening without political lines moving an inch, we really have to ask ourselves, how is the map physically changing? Because while politicians sit around and debate over lines on a map, the actual land and oceans beneath us are undergoing a massive transformation. And that leads us to Section 2, Climate Redraws the World. And this brilliantly illustrates how, in the 21st century, nature itself is acting as the ultimate cartographer. Environmental changes are literally reshaping the geography of our planet, and by extension, the entire geography of global trade. For generations, our global economy has completely relied on traditional routes, bottlenecked at places like the Suez or Panama Canals. But because of Arctic warming and melting ice, the northern sea route is opening up. Guys, this isn't science fiction, it's happening right now. New coastlines mean new ports, new infrastructure, and entirely new shipping lanes that will literally redraw global supply chains and shift geopolitical leverage overnight. But let's be real, the physical changes to our map aren't just about cargo ships. They are profoundly about people. Based on some pretty stark, verified projections from the IPCC, rising sea levels and expanding water scarcity are going to fundamentally alter where humanity can actually live and grow food. Major agricultural shifts are going to necessitate serious coastal adaptation, and that's going to drive unprecedented climate migration. The map of population density is going to be physically redrawn by the changing climate, moving hundreds of millions of people literally right across continents. Now let's totally switch gears for a minute. We've talked about land and sea, but one specific technology may actually matter way more than physical geography in the coming decades. I really want you to think about this. What happens when the most important, heavily guarded borders in the world are completely invisible? Let's dive into Section 3, the invisible digital borders. This is a massive paradigm shift. As we move deeper into this century, the world map isn't just about terrestrial land masses anymore. It is rapidly expanding into the realm of cyberspace, introducing this absolutely crucial concept of data sovereignty. Basically, this is the idea that digital data is subject to the laws and governance structures of the nation, exactly where it is collected or stored. Future global power and national security, they don't just rely on standing armies anymore. They rely heavily on artificial intelligence, cloud infrastructure, and cybersecurity. Simply put, the nation that controls the data controls the future. digital borders are being drawn as we speak, and they are fiercely protected. Let's break down how traditional geography actually compares to digital infrastructure, because it's fascinating. In the past, a country got its power from geographic choke points. Think impenetrable mountain ranges or massive deep-water ports. Today, digital power is defined by who controls undersea internet cables and hyperscale data centers. Physical currency is now aggressively competing with digital currencies. And controlling airspace? Well, that's being completely overshadowed by dominating space-based communications and satellite networks. Cyber sovereignty is literally replacing geographic terrain as the brand new global battleground for influence. Which leaves us with this really fascinating paradox. If all this power is digitizing into the cloud and economic influence is shifting all across these different continents, where will the vast majority of humanity actually physically live their day-to-day lives? That brings us to Section 4, the rise of megacities. Let's move to and see how this builds, because as urbanization accelerates at a truly unprecedented rate, the city, rather than the traditional nation-state, might actually be the true fundamental building block of tomorrow's world map. We are talking about environments entirely defined by AI-managed infrastructure, massive vertical construction to maximize space, autonomous transportation grids, and fully integrated renewable energy systems. These aren't just going to be large towns, guys. They will function as powerful, independent economic hubs. In fact, some of these future smart cities are projected to completely eclipse entire countries in their economic weight and geopolitical influence. All right, I know what you are probably thinking right about now. We've talked about economics, climate, digital realms, and these massive megacities, but the elephant in the room still remains. Will our traditional political borders, like the actual lines we see on a globe today, are they going to change? Well, the reality is this. Political borders change slowly, but economic influence changes instantly. While we might eventually see regional cooperation strengthen, or greater economic unions form, or even autonomous territories emerge through international law and diplomacy, the physical lines on the map are usually the absolute slowest things to adapt. But as you've seen throughout this explainer, the true map of global influence, the one that really dictates wealth, security, and power, is already aggressively rewriting itself. Which brings us to our final takeaway in Section 5, the map of tomorrow. When we layer economics, climate science, technology, and urbanization on top of our traditional geography, this incredibly cohesive, albeit complex, narrative of the 21st century really emerges. The next map of humanity may not be defined by conquest, but by innovation, climate, artificial intelligence, and global cooperation. Throughout all of human history, maps were redrawn by the sword. Today, and tomorrow, they're going to be redrawn by our ability to adapt, to innovate, and to manage the incredible technologies and environmental shifts we've explored today. And honestly, this is the true paradigm shift. Maps are so much more than just ink on paper or pixels on a screen. They are the living story of human civilization. And the map of tomorrow won't simply show where countries are geographically located. No, it will be a dynamic, living reflection of exactly where humanity is going. The future isn't already written, but it is actively being drawn all around us, every single day. The world is changing, and by looking past the traditional borders, now you understand exactly why. The only question left to ask is, are you ready for it? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep your eyes open, stay curious, and keep watching how the map changes around you.
Thanks for watching World Decoded. Make sure to like and share, subscribe, and stay curious.